Welcome to a Great War at Sea Fleet Command video for how-to on plotting. This is the second plotting I've done, maybe the third of plotting I've done. But I wanted to show you this because this came up off of an after action report that I'm writing for a game called Gales of November. Playing this with my good friend Robin, and it came out as a really good teaching example of how to use these guys, specifically how to use them to trace your course, how to navigate through the plotting points, and how to keep it all straight in your mind. So we started the game here. There is a German fleet here of battle cruisers trying to escape out into the North Atlantic. There are British fleets in Scapa Flow and Rosyth, and then there's two fleets that are actually in the water. They're all marked as spotted right now, and they should be marked as masked because this is the way that you play um, Great War at Sea today in the operational phase. You see fleets on the map, but you don't really know what's in the fleet or what fleet number it is. So we're playing in the solo mode so that I can see all the counters. But we're we have in double blind mode. In the double blind mode, all the fleets are invisible to the enemy player, and all the plot points are invisible to the enemy player. The challenge is you have to have a third person, an observer or an umpire, to come and check how close you're getting to each other so that they can tell you to make the die rolls to search for contact. We don't have that. It's just the two of us. So we're playing as solo, and we're playing in the non-masked mode, the non-invisible mode. At any rate, what you do is you go and you grab out of your um, counter sheet or your counter palette. You go to fleets. There's one for the Central Powers too. You grab one of the plotting points and you drop it off, and then you adjust the fleet number by pressing the F. So if we're going for fleet 5, we'd put in number 5, and we go hit and enter, and it would show up. And then you can hit the T for turn. So we can go up to, this was turn 2, we'll go to turn 3, and then we can just copy this guy, and we can drag him, and then we copy him again, hit a T to get the next turn, copy him, hit a T to get the next turn, copy him, hit a T to get the next turn. So you can now see that this fleet 5 has moved 2 hexes the first time, and it's moved 1 hex the third move, 1 hex the fourth move, and 1 hex third move, 1 hex the third move, and 1 hex the fourth move. So I'm going to get rid of these guys, and we're going to work on the fleets we've already got here. So hold on, select them all, hit the D key, and they go away. So these have all been plotted, and we're in our turn 1, which is daylight, which is dawn, and we're in the begin operational turn. So I'm going to slide that through. We're not going to worry about weather because when we're playing this particular scenario, it's been squalls, storm, and gale the whole time. Oops, there we go. So I'm on orders phase now here in the operational track. So I'm going to give orders to these fleets. So they're going to move in turn 1. So I need to plot turn 3. These are both intercept fleets, and this is a raid fleet. So they're all moving it too. So I'm going to select my existing counter here, my existing point. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to drag it out here and increase the turn, copy it, put it here, and there's my turn 3. So now I'll click off of it. I'm going to click on fleet 2, and I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to hit the turn, and I'm going to move it over here, and then I'm going to move it another one. I'm going to copy and turn, and then, oh, I didn't want to turn that one, so I'm just going to go D because I still want to move 2 in that phase, turn 3. So I'm going to select it again, I'm going to copy it, and I'm just going to move it. I'm not going to increase the fleet number or the turn number. Okay, so there I plotted for turn 3. The German has plotted the first move of turn 3, so I'm going to have him plot the second one. So we're going to copy that, and we're going to move it. Whoops. Now that's why you click off top of these, because I had 2 of them selected. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to put him here. You'll notice that this guy here now has 2 plots in there, and one of those is incorrect. So I'm going to expand it, and I'm going to hold my cursor over it, and I'm going to see that I indeed have 2 fleet markers with turn 3 on it. So I'm going to click on one of them, and I'm going to hit the D and get rid of him. So he's gone. So now I've plotted for turn 3. So let's go ahead and hit the turn counter again, the operational phase track, air search, air mission, move fleets. So now we actually get to do some moving. So I'm going to start with the British. I'm going to click off, then I'm going to command or control click on the British fleet, and I'm going to move them turn one. And I'm going to move this fleet, which is fleet 2, although it's masked. So I'm going to move it turn 1 and turn 1. And the German player is going to find his fleet, and he's going to click off of it, and he's going to click back onto it with command or control, and he's going to move fleet turn 1, turn 1. So now all of turn 1 movement's done. There's obviously no contact, so I'm going to increase the turn counter to day 2, or to turn 2. So now I'm going to flip through the different phases here in the operational phase, and I'm going to get to begin operational turn. We're going to do it all again. So now I'm going to go into my orders phase, and I'm going to hold the video at this point, and I'm going to come back and add to it. So we're going to add more plot points, and then you're going to see how it works when we have to interact with multiple plot points in the same spot. So I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to come back in a moment. So we're back, and I've added a whole lot of plotting here. So I'm going to zoom in, and we can take a better look at this. So here we go. So we now have the German fleet having come up through turn 4, turn 5, and turn 6, and ending turn 6 in this space G24. The Allied fleet is in G23 and G25. So when I look here, I see that first of all is where German is. This is the end of turn 6. So the German is at the last of turn 6. Fleet 1, and we're going to flip these over just so we can see them, okay? Because we should actually be leaving them masked, but I think it's important because we're trying to figure out which all of these dots are doing. So let's undo the mask. And then the German fleet's going to be easy because there's just the one fleet at this point. So in this hex here, where fleet 1 is, 1 ends its turn in turn 6. Fleet 1 German ends its turn on 24. We said that. And fleet 1, wait a minute. This guy's not a 1, he's a 2. So let's just go change him to 2. There we go. Okay. So this is fleet 2. Fleet 2 ends its turn 6 here. Fleet 1 ends its turn 6 here. German fleet 1 ends its turn 6 in between. So they haven't made contact yet. They haven't been in the same hex and the same move. So we're going to go ahead and click on these guys and move them for the next day. So this is actually turn 7. Okay. So fleet 1, I'm going to find out where fleet 1 goes for 7. So I look here, there's fleet 1 and 7. And then in G21 is fleet 1 and 7. So I'm going to click fleet 1, and I'm going to move them here and then here. Okay. Now I'm going to move German fleet 2, or excuse me, Allied fleet 2. So I'm going to click off, and I'm going to look where he needs to go. So Allied fleet 2 is 2, yep, on turn 7. See that there? And then again, 2 on 7. So the fleet ends here. And the German fleet starts here and it ends in 7. So what is in this spot is German fleet 1 on turn 7, and then German fleet 1 on turn 7. So we actually have, going to click off of that, and then I'm going to select it and move it. So the German is now moving right between the two British fleets. Now, we have spaces where they share the space concurrently, and that's when we're going to get a sighting attempt. So let's try 1, and let's see where Allied Fleet 1. Allied Fleet 1 is in this turn. He's there, and he's here. So Allied Fleet 1 gets to roll a sighting. So for sighting, we're going to go look at, we're going to scroll down here. And operational speeds, fleet contact, and we need to roll a 6 or higher. It's a dawn turn, so it's daylight. So I get a 4 or higher, and then the German fleet actually gets a +1 or a -1 depending upon what he wants because it has a leader, Hipper. So Admiral Hipper gets to influence that roll, and then the weather is not clear. It's a storm or a squall. It's not quite a gale this turn, so it's a -1. So that comes out to a 4 minus 4 -1 for the admiral, -1 for the weapon. So the allies have to roll a 6. And the allies roll fleet 1 actually rolls a 3. Now I'm cheating here just so that I can get the results that I want to show you how these things work. And then in fleet 2, they were sharing a space as well. So I'm going to roll for fleet 2. And fleet 2 has the same modifier, and it rolls a 5. But it's still not good enough to catch the German fleet. So we're going to plot out. We've got plotted out for 9. That's all we're going to go for this demo. We're going to change the turn, and then we're going to move these guys. So I'm going to turn off the move markers. I'm going to control click or command click here, and I'm going to move to G20 and G19. And then I'm going to move the British Fleet 2 is going to move here. Let's go check it first. The first hex is going to be, yeah, Fleet 2 on turn 8. And then here is Fleet 2 on turn 8. And then Fleet 2 on turn 9. So it ends here on G21. So I'll click on it and move to G21. And the German fleet moves between. And at this point, although I'm not going to do it here, my esteemed opponent broke his fleet up. And he sent one part of the fleet forward into G19 and one part south into H20. So that was kind of interesting, and you have to split your fleets, but that's another story. So I'm going to click off of moved here, and we're going to do our results again. So fleet 2 is going to check, and fleet 2 runs a 4, and it doesn't make it. It's a daylight turn. Turn 1 rolls is 6. Oh, a natural 6 is a unmodified, is a surprise sighting. So for surprise sighting, what you do, and it's going to be here in this hex, by the way. So let's grab this British guy, move it back. Whoops. Oh, I've done something wrong. So I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to move it back. So this is where the combat's going to take place. Now the fleet has, we're going to let it say it's split, and I'm going to show you what happened when I followed his fleet. His fleet turned out just to be the Blücher and the von der Tann. So I've got battleship versus the von der Tann and the Blücher. And my esteemed opponent also noted to me that when you're in a situation like this, instead of concentrating just on your main target, always fire something on the other one just in case you can slow it down, because then you slow the whole stack down. And since these are speed 2 and the British are speed 1, technically these guys could run away, the Germans. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fire one battleship here, King George V, and I'm going to roll. It has 7 dice, and so I'm going to mark that. And I have 1, 2, 3 hits on. I'm going to fire starting on Blücher. So a 5 is a hull, a 7 is a gun, and a 4 is something else. So let's go look at it in combat and go look over here. 4 is a hull, a 5 is a secondary, and a 7 is a primary. Okay, so I am going to play with referred pain today, so that's going to take this guy, and he has damage of a secondary, and then another secondary because the primary goes to secondary, and a hull. Okay, so you can see him start to wear down. This is great. We should probably pick this up again, but I'm going to fire the rest of the guns here at von der Tann. And I know what the results were. So what I ended up doing was I ended up getting 2 hull hits on von der Tann, right, which didn't reduce the speed. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 primaries. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4 primaries. I got 2 secondaries, and I got 1 tertiary. So I ended up with a pretty crummy ship at the end of that. And Blücher lost 2 secondaries. And when they fired back, they got some picayune damage here on like King George V. But this is how this part of the scenario ends because, oh, this guy actually, sorry, I lied to you. Blücher got an 11, which is the damage of 2 hulls and 1 speed. So that is my speed loss. So when you lose speed, you're 0 that turn. Now Blücher can't move. So this fleet now has a choice. It can either go and chase the other fleet that is split off and should be here. So 1 can come and chase 2 next turn. 2 can chase 2. or you can finish off the battle cruiser and the guy here. The beauty of this is that this scenario's objectives were to get your battle cruisers out into the North Atlantic. So the German lost on this one, but this guy now can move faster than the British ships. So he should be able to avoid the fleet and Scapa Flow and be able to go down to the Pas de Calais and cross into the Atlantic and leave the west edge of the board. So that's where we're at in the game. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you that as you move over each of these markers, it shows you where the markers are so you can reconstruct in your mind where this is supposed to be. At this point, at the end of turn 7, the German fleet should be there. The Allied fleet should have passed it. And the next turn, Allied Fleet 2 will enter that. So you can tell exactly where your fleets are every part of the game. And unfortunately, it's a lot of spots, but it is decipherable and it is memorable. So you can go in and figure out how to do this. So that's what I wanted to show you and show you how cool it was to be able to actually get a lot of ships exercising and still be able to tell which ones were where at what spot. So that's it for this video, and I'm going to go ahead and make more. Play a game. When you're done, come and call me, and we'll play a game.